Welcome to the Mindset Connection podcast. Welcome back. This is our 9th episode. So thank you for being here. If you're just joining us, thank you for being here. We are your hosts, Jennifer Clearwaters and Cindy O'Connell. And in every episode, we are showcasing everyday change makers who are doing extraordinary things in the fields of mental health and wellness. And so today we are grateful to welcome our friend, Heather Natoli, to our podcast. Heather is the owner of the Fascia Clinic in Wall. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, Heather. So good to have you here. So Heather, in her work with fascia and movement repattering for clients and healing practitioners. So Heather is a homeopathic practitioner as well, licensed massage therapist, fascia body worker, certified fascia fitness professional, and certified Restore Your Core teacher. She is also many other things, and she's going to explain them to you. She's on a journey to empower and encourage individuals to take their healing back into their own hands by understanding their stress patterns and their body's needs through deep inner connection. As the creator of the Feeling Fascia method, she helps practitioners and her clients understand and work with the body-mind connection in a revolutionized way. The magic lies in safely reconnecting ourselves to ourselves and then to the world around. So besides all that, she is a volunteer co-leader of a 4-H group called the Wildlings, where students K to 12 learn all about the natural world around us. She also has 4 children who she homeschools. No idea how she does that. And you can follow her offerings at thefasciaclinic.org or follow her on Instagram at thefasciaclinic.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh, so much stuff.
And, just on a personal note, I know so many people that have been to Heather and sat on her table. And I'm going to tell you that when I walk in the door, she'll look at me, she'll smile, have this little greeting. Then I sit down and she said, "So what's wrong with your right hip?" I mean, she barely looked at me, didn't even touch me yet, and knows exactly where the issue is.
Yes.
So,
and that is
welcome, Heather.
Magical. So Heather, tell our listeners and our viewers, people may not even know what fascia work actually is.
Yeah.
I think most people don't know what it is. So explain to us, what is it and what do you have to do to become a practitioner for this?
Yeah. Fascia work is growing. 10 years ago when I started fascia work, I didn't think that it would be where we're at now. Our fascial system is so important. It's so all encompassing. It connects every single system in our body to each other. So when we do fascial work, we're actually helping the system to regulate, to calm down, right? Where it connects your toes all the way to your head. So when we focus on our fascial system, we're helping our body in totality, completely from head to toe.
It's really, really something. And I'll tell you on a personal note, a few years ago, I got my foot reconstructed. I did not go to physical therapy. I went to Heather. And every time I would walk in, I would go do I need to be here? And every time I would walk out, I would go, yes, I need to be here.
Yes, so true. So maybe you can answer the question about how did you become, what's the path to become a fascia practitioner?
Yeah.
And include in that, I know that you're a certified massage therapist. So what's the difference? So, I'm going to come in for a treatment with you. What's the difference?
Yeah. So there's not much of a clear path for a fascial therapist yet because fascia is just a newly discovered organ. So we've known about fascia as the tight bands that wrap around our muscles for many, many years. We've heard of the fascia in the front of our shin. That's just been there. It's been a structural component to our bodies. Now we understand that there are multiple layers, and the more surface layers are actually very, very in depth. They're super multidimensional, and they're just fascinating. They're so incredible. So for myself, I studied with all of the best, what I think is the best fascial researchers, fascial scientists, fascial body workers, and really just dove into the world of fascia to understand it at its core. I started fascial work by learning from Dr. Barry Gillespie, and then I just followed and studied with Dr. Robert Schleip and Tom Myers and just some of the most amazing humans and teachers to really understand what's going on in this system, right? How is it different than working the muscles? How is it different than going for physical therapy, right? And what is it all that it connects? And I've really weave together my own practice, which is why I've been asked to create and teach that Feeling Fascia course, because I bring a little something different to the field.
Okay.
How is it different though? How is it different from going to a PT session or a massage session?
Yeah, so in our fascial sessions, we actually understand the connections to our immune system, the endocrine system, our nervous system, and how the body is always co-regulating through the fascial system. So whereas a massage therapist or a physical therapist will dive straight through and go into these deeper layers of muscle tissue and try to really stretch and lengthen these spaces, in fascial therapy, we're working on the stuff that lays right beneath the skin. Right. And we're starting there. So we're starting to understand what's the stress pattern here? What's happening in this world that's between the muscles and the skin? And how is it influencing what the muscles are doing, what the nervous system's doing, and the rest of the systems in the body?
That's why you can tell when someone walks in, you already have an idea about what's going on with them.
Yeah.
Without even touching them first.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think people need to recognize that, and this is a big difference between massage therapy, is that it's a close-on the treatment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I'd like you to do right now is just show us that what you've taught Jen and I and so
It's in
many
our
other
book.
people. Yes. The neck pull down
Yeah.
for self-regulation.
Yeah. So this is an excellent way to just kind of showcase fascia and show you how subtle it can be. So if you place your hands onto your chest, right on your sternum, and pull slightly down on the skin towards your belly button, right? You don't have to push hard. You're just anchoring down. You pull down on the skin, and you should feel a gentle pulling just into the collarbone area. Sometimes you can feel it stretching into your neck. And all you do is while you're anchored down, you take a nice deep breath. And this helps your vagus nerve, all of your blood vessels and major nerves that run up into your head and neck, get a bit of glide through that fascial system so that it automatically tells your system we're safe, everything's okay, right? And we can downregulate.
What a great tool. So I hope everybody out there remembers
this
this and
today.
tries it. When you feel like, I don't know what to do next,
Yeah.
sit quietly, cross the hands across the sternum, and just follow directions from Heather. Thank you so
And I
much
love that
for
you're
that.
explaining that with fascia. It's like, it's not deep tissue work like
Mhm.
PT and massage can be. It's
Yeah.
something like it's right here. So like, I feel like it's accessible to anyone. Like not everyone can do deep tissue work on themselves.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
everyone could do something like this every day.
Good point.
Absolutely.
Right. You homeschool your 4 children. I'm going to skip around a little bit.
It's okay.
So can you explain how that works? Why you decided to do that? Because you were not homeschooled.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So
Correct.
tell us about that.
So my oldest is 16 now. He actually went to kindergarten. We fully intended on sending our children to school, doing the normal school thing. I loved school growing up. I still love school. I'm constantly learning. He actually was testing much above his level. And the school system told us, why don't you take him out? We don't have anybody teaching above the 3rd grade level. Homeschool him for a few years and then bring him back in at 3rd grade when they have enrichment classes. This also coincided with him starting to have some seizures at the end of his kindergarten year, which also led into my world of fascia. And when we took him out, we just realized how incredible the homeschool system is, especially in New Jersey. There's a very big community. You get to really target for each kid a proper like learning system that works for their needs. And we get it all done in, the morning hours. We sit from 9 to 1 each day and get the traditional schoolwork done. And then we spend the afternoons joining friends. And the community out in doing things like our 4-H group and art classes and science clubs. And the kids just have a blast with it. They get to kind of pioneer their learning and target it towards things that they actually enjoy.
How did you weave that in to running a business?
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Homeschools, when you talk about homeschooling, sounds like a good idea until you realize that you're the one that has to do it all.
Yeah, it's definitely complicated. And I don't think it's for everybody, for sure. I was very blessed that I was able to be home with the kids while my husband worked, while we got our homeschool foundation set. So I didn't start my business or start working until we already had a really clear foundation established. We had our routines. The kids knew what was going on. Most of our kids don't know anything other than homeschool. So it's easy for us to be their teacher and their parents because that's what they know us as. And so weaving in work came naturally because I just get to alternate with my husband, who also owns a business and has a really flexible just schedule and way that he pulls things together.
That's great. Do you think there are any drawbacks? Like now that you've been in it for a while, are there anything that you see or any aspects of homeschooling that you are like, oh, I don't know if I love this?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely like the exposure. There's not as much there's not as many activities with as many people as we would love to see, right? The kids have a great group of probably 20 friends, classmates that they've gone through school together, but they don't change classes each year. So they don't get to meet new faces. It's not as abundant, but they do have really great relationships that are just super solid. And they get to make relationships with adults that is carried through their lifetime. So they make some really just genuine friendships with other people.
That's nice. It's really good.
Yeah. So you also were going to school while you had your young children.
Yes.
Because I think you at one point told me that you were actually brought the baby with you while you were attending classes in New York. I think it was.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah.
I'm sure not easy.
Yeah. So I decided I wanted to go back to school, right? That was always the plan after
For
I had
what?
my first. And I went back for homeopathy. I was in school before I had my first pre-med, and that got cut a little short with the birth of my son. And unfortunately, I had a lot of medical issues that were solved by a homeopath, a family homeopath that I saw. So when I came back to deciding where I wanted to go, I really wanted to just learn homeopathy. I wanted to dive in. In America, homeopathy does not have a diploma program like they do in London, but I was able to go to New York where they had a satellite school from a London university, and they flew over their teachers, the homeopaths, the doctors, to teach us everything that we needed to know to become a homeopath. And I got to bring my kids with me, which was wonderful. I had my third child, and they were like, of course you can't leave him, right? This is all about being holistic. He needs to be nursed. It was we did weekend programs. So it was Friday to Sunday, 8 to 6.
Oh.
And so he came along with me. I swaddled him up in his little papoose, and he just came on the train and went for the ride and learned alongside me.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. So Heather, it sounds like all of, one thing led to another thing, and all of this is interwoven.
Yes.
From what you're saying.
Deeply. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, while we're still on the topic of homeopathic training, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, you got a degree in this. What is it and what do you do?
Yeah. So it's not a degree program. It's more like a certification in the US. And as a homeopath, I'm really like a holistic consultant, right? I'm helping families understand another way to look at things, to cut down on antibiotic use, to give them help and support while they're struggling with viruses and things that where we can kind of fill the gaps in the medical community to support people holistically. So homeopathy, my biggest takeaway is just the wonderful way that they view the principles of healing and health. They really believe that less is more, that we can really anchor in and trust ourselves and trust our body to do the healing that it needs to do if we can cultivate an environment that is conducive to healing.
No, that's the big picture, cultivating the healing
The environment.
Yes.
What are some typical ailments that people may come to you?
So for a
about,
cold,
right? Yeah.
Like would anybody come
It's
to you
cold
for a
season
cold?
right
It's
now.
cold
It's
season. This is
January.
perfect. Maybe help the audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a cold is one of the things that people use homeopathy for all the time, right? So they might take remedies like aconitum is a remedy, and they're actually
What's that?
So yes,
Right?
good
People are
question.
gonna say that to
Yes,
you.
they are. These remedies are diluted and succussed, basically energy medicine that are made from just natural materials found in the world. So a lot of them are made from plants, just made from minerals that we find in the world around us. And when you take a remedy, all it's doing is it's becoming a catalyst to remind your body that we can heal from this, right? We can recover. So a lot of times in flu season, people have been grabbing for that Oslo, right? It has a very long name. It's a homeopathic remedy that's actually made from the bird flu, right? And it doesn't have any of that substance left in it, but it's really helpful to just kind of give your body that reminder that this is what we're working on right now. Come on, stay active. Like we can recover from this.
Rather than going and taking like an over-the-counter medication or an antibiotic or something like that.
Yeah, and they're so gentle and safe that they're also really helpful to use in tandem with these things. So that's one of the spaces that I love to stand in, is kind of bridging the gap between these holistic and allopathic spaces of medicine and body work, because we just lose so much if we stand too firmly in one place or another.
What kind of body work would you suggest?
What kind of body work would I suggest?
Yeah.
I love fascia body work. I really love it. The way that I have set up fascial body work in the fascia clinic is so that we're addressing both that superficial fascia that connects to all of the immune system and the endocrine system and the nervous system, right? In our story body sessions, right? And these story body sessions encompass a lot of that homeopathic understanding of finding out, what's actually going on. Let's tie all the pieces together. Let's figure out how your body's responding. And then the touch that we use, right? This somatic touch is helping your body kind of regulate and calm down to a helpful place. And then we also have body-based work, right? That's deeper fascial work that's working on those bands of fascia for people who are habitually sitting at their desks all day, right? Or even runners who are running all the time, and your full fascial pattern is just stuck in a run, right? And we need to allow our system to kind of come out of that run so that we can fully settle into ourselves and relax.
So you deal also with fascia work with people that have experienced trauma.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit
talk
about
us
that.
about
Yeah, that's one of my favorite areas to work in, because I think it's really important. And there's a big gap in the system where there's not a lot of people working in this space, right? We hear about somatic work, and a lot of counselors are doing incredible work with somatic work, right? And the understanding is that these traumatic moments get literally trapped in our body, right? Our system's not able to fully process while it's in that moment. So then we have to go back and process a little bit afterwards. So we can come at it from that angle, from like a counseling perspective, but we can also address it from a body perspective. So as I understand stress patterns, there are these full body expressions that pull us into guarding patterns. They pull us into these positions that prepare us, right? They get us ready to run or ready to fight. And as our system learns that these traumatic events might be happening over and over and over again, it's going to get stuck into that position, right? And if we can help the body feel that pattern and understand that right now while I'm lying in my bed, I don't actually need that guarding pattern, right? Then we can encourage people and give them the tools to tap back into that space and teach their bodies how to come out of that guarding pattern, right? And so there's a lot of studies happening right now in that psychosomatic space of how we're storing these stories in our system and how we can release them through touch.
Well, and there's a lot more research out there now that shows that, it's been out there, but it's becoming more, I think, more prominent to talk about that, that trauma lives in the body.
Yeah.
And it's stored there and it stays there. And most people don't know how to access ways to get it out.
Yes. Absolutely.
So as I watched you talking about it, Heather, you kept going into this position.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So this position where we're rounding our shoulders and crunching our core and bringing our legs up forward is a very classic fight or flight position. It's the one that gets us ready to run. It helps pull our system into protecting our visceral organs. And we also mirror that position when we're sitting at a desk, when we're taking care of
Yep.
babies in front of
Yep.
us, when we're gardening, when we're reading all the time, when we're spending time on our phones. So our system, our fascial system, sends off neurotransmitters and hormones to help our body prepare for the activation that's needed when we're pulled into these guarding patterns. So as we get pulled into that pattern, our body's being activated to provide a stress response that's necessary when we're stressed, right? When we're in a stressful moment. When we're sitting at our computer, we are not necessarily needing that stress pattern, right? But it is still sending off the neurotransmitters and hormones that's telling our body we're stressed, something's wrong. So this leads inherently to anxiety and depression. And then we just look at the world around us. And of course, we can find things to pin our anxiety to, of like, oh, well, I have 4 kids that I'm running after, right? And, life is stressful, work is busy. But those things aren't actually as stressful as your body's making it feel because of the position that you're stuck in.
Okay.
So what can you do? Like what
Cindy
Cindy and I are always on the same page. So for regular everyday people who are at a desk or working and all of a sudden find themselves in this position, or every school kid or college kid who's on their phone that finds themselves in this rounded position, what's a reset that they could do?
Yeah. So I'm going to go kind of against the common knowledge of this, right?
Okay.
Our instinct and what we're being told constantly is that when we get up from our desk, pull your shoulders back and down, have good posture, be, forward facing. Unfortunately, we are faced with a lot of stress in our day-to-day life right now, right? Our society is just filled with it, right? Especially throughout these last few years, a lot of people are feeling some heavy stress.
Yes.
Our fascial system, these patterns are pulling on us for a reason, right? So instead of jumping up and trying to crank your body out of these positions, I invite people to grab a pillow and hug around the pillow and take some nice deep breaths into your back rib space and allow that pattern to do the work that it needs to do, right? So before
feel it.
Yeah,
before
fully feel it.
reverse.
Allow your body to express what needs to come up. Fold into it, sink into it, allow your body to kind of process and do what it needs to do. And then typically when you come back out of it, you're able to come out of it, right? It's not a force. It's not cranking. It's not working against your body because your body did what it needs to do. Right.
So it's, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. So it's almost like a forward fold.
Yeah.
A forward fold, like in yoga, a forward fold, and then I'm just going to slowly come back up.
Yeah.
Because you're already kind of folding already, so allowing yourself
I'm going to
do
let
the
go all the
full
way.
fold.
And of course, if you drop your head below your heart, you're going to have that blood rush,
Yeah.
which is also a good thing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
All right.
So
Yeah. Wow. Lots of good
we're getting great
information.
tips. Yes.
Great
So
tips.
Tell us about your magical clinic and what do you do there? What do you offer? And what's your plan for expanding services?
Yes. So I love running the Fascia clinic. It's been.
I don't think you're passionate enough.
No. Can you tell? She's like, woo.
I love it so much. It's really exciting for me because I get to offer these story body sessions, these body-based sessions to allow people to come in and work through their trauma, work through, the physical limitations that they're having and really just step into a more fully expressed life and kind of go beyond the pains that they're feeling in their day-to-day life. I love working with other massage therapists and other health coaches and practitioners because I feel like a lot of people need something different, right? Not everybody needs the work that I'm offering or the language that I'm speaking. Sometimes they need somebody else. So in our expansion process, right, as we're kind of growing into this bigger space, I am really looking forward to hosting these classes where I can teach other massage therapists and practitioners how to do what's called the feeling fascia method. And 10 years ago, I didn't think that I would be a nationally accredited teacher for fascia work, right? But here we are, and that's exciting to be able to bring this into, to bring it into our community. The goal of expanding is really to help bring the fascia work to more people. I'd love to host classes to teach fascial awareness and fascia body work that you can do on yourself. And also start actually running these clinics where we can bring the costs down and get it accessible for many more people.
Wow, that sounds great.
That's incredible.
So explain Restore Your Core, because that's the other thing that you're certified in.
Yeah, so Restore Your Core is fantastic. It's run by Lauren O'Hyan. It's a program that I did probably 9 years ago now, after I had my fourth child, I had
Everything's related to when the children were born.
Yes, everything came with them. They're my biggest gifts. In Restore Your Core, she really focuses on helping you rebuild your core muscles after pregnancy, which I really valued because it was necessary for me. I used to be a gymnast. I wanted to be back in shape the way and doing the things that I used to be able to do. And she was able to help me understand how to utilize my intra-abdominal pressure to actually function better. What I learned from the course when I took the teacher training, because naturally I had to, was that the way that she teaches is very similar to the fascial way that I treat. And so I really love the understanding that she gives of how everything is all connected. So I use her tools that she's offered in doing the movement repatterning, right? So anytime someone gets up off the table and they're like, cool, so how do I keep this hip pain from coming back?
Yeah.
Well, that lies in movement, right? We massage, body work, all of this stuff is really great, but you shouldn't live on a table, right? What we need is to be empowered and to have like actual tools to be able to put into action each day. And so these Restore Your Core moves and workouts are really helpful to just kind of come back to yourself, to move properly so that you don't get stuck back in that same pattern and end up with the same pain.
So when we first came on, we were just talking about life and whatever before we start to film. And one of the things that Heather said was that some of her clients are coming in and saying, well, I'm resting. And what did you say, Heather?
I said, okay, stop resting. Rest is great, right? But we also need to play. We need to get out there. We need to be moving our body and taking action and doing the things that actually bring us good health.
Right.
Yep. And this is so important. Like we're in January when we're filming this, when everyone is really trying to retreat inside, and we're all saying like we have to move.
Yeah.
We have to move.
Yeah, it's so important.
One of the things that I can actually say, from having worked with having had Heather do work on
both
me,
of us.
yeah. So, I would say, because my whole, I don't want to just have to go back to have you put me back together. I want to be able to do it myself. And Heather, you always walk away. She'll let you film her. I have many films on my phone of Heather showing me an exercise that will help my body to get back to homeostasis, basically.
Yeah.
So, which is...
And it's really nice to know that. Like you could leave and have you go, well, take this with you. So it's not like you have to you have to come back for me to show this to you. I really want you to do this on your own.
Yeah.
And so film me. I'll write it down for you, or whatever it is that you need to do to be able to practice it on your own.
Yeah.
And I think people need to get comfortable because a lot of times they'll go in and go, well, I don't know how to do any of that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the biggest things in practice that I've learned is that I don't want people depending on me, right? I don't want to be dependent on anybody else. I have 4 kids. I have a really busy life. I don't want to be glued to a table each week. But what I do want is all the tools that I could be doing at home for myself, right? And I try to keep them really, really simple, like bringing your hips off the counter while you're making food or washing dishes, right? Just super
body
simple
awareness
things that we can bring into our daily life really easily without feeling like we have to take, a long time to be stretching or doing too much, even though that's wonderful for your body.
And I think it's also really empowering for people, especially the Restore Your Core. Because a lot of times, after you have kids, you sometimes you do feel like I'm never going to be the same. Or I will never be able to go back to the level of activity that I was doing before.
Absolutely.
And it is a little disheartening sometimes to think like, I don't know how to get myself back.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we look at these patterns of fascial tension, when we recognize that the reason that, this core isn't functioning properly is because we've completely disconnected from that deep core line that is our fascial system, we start to realize that maybe that's why there's such a huge, a rise in postpartum anxieties and depressions, right? Because we're literally not able to connect to the deepest part of ourself that needs to be functioning.
Yeah.
So, as a wife, mother, homeschool, I don't know what you call yourself, teacher, business owner. Whoa, what's your schedule like? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that'll be watching this that are thinking, how does this woman do this?
I can't do this. This is crazy.
How is she doing this? So tell us.
I have.
And look so good.
I have a busy schedule. Again, it's really great that I have my husband to kind of tag team a lot of this with, but we do have a really clear schedule for all of us, right? So I like to take my mornings where that's my me time. That's my time to meditate, to work out, to really do my learning, right? To write for social media, do those kind of things. Then I help the kids get, settled and get into their homeschool routine. We work through what they need to work through. The kids all take a part in running our house, right? Helping with food and cleanup. And it's part of being a homeschooler is that they get to learn how to also run a house and take on the chores and responsibility for the space we're using.
Good point.
Yeah, that's good.
We use each other. My husband and I alternate our work schedules so that one of us is always able to be home to help guide the children and work with them. And I realized when I was traveling for a long and extended period of time with the kids that the structure was more a me thing. I need everything on a schedule. I need to know what's coming next, when I'm going to, do the work stuff, when I'm going to do the writing stuff. Otherwise, I'm the one who falls apart.
So this is so interesting that you said this. So you're yet, because we know you, I know that you're also flexible. It's not like, and I think Jen is the same way. We love the structure. We love the rituals, but yet we know that life throws things at you. So you have to learn to be flexible. Okay, I can't meditate or exercise right now, but I can take 15 minutes at 12 o'clock or whatever it is.
Yeah, you pivot.
You
You don't.
That's it.
Most people will say, "This came up, so now I have to throw it off my calendar."
Yes.
But
even though it's the thing that keeps me centered and balanced.
Yes. And I'm sure we always hear that all of us in the work that we do find people that are coming to us, but they're off their routine.
Right.
Yeah.
They're off their routine. And then because instead of pivoting or shortening or modifying, they just gave it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. We definitely all get there. And that feels like another lesson from our fascial system. That's right. The stability and flexibility is how we adapt, right? That's the only way that we can keep ourselves going.
So I know you just briefly mentioned traveling. So you just tell a little bit about what you had done with your husband and family.
Yeah. So when I finished my school for my massage license, literally the following month, we packed up and we did 100 days through Southeast Asia. It was a great experience for me to be able to go and study the Eastern types of body work and really get a good glimpse into that world. But we went primarily to World School. We went to bring our kids to Bali and Thailand and Laos. We hired the locals there to teach the kids the language and the ecology and religions, and it was an incredible experience. It was really beautiful.
Your children have been exposed to so many different things. So good for you.
So if somebody going back to your clinic wants to make an appointment or is just like curious about like how do I find out about what she does and if she's right for me, what do they do?
Yeah. So thankfully, my husband is a great web designer. So he's really kind of built out the fasciaclinic.org so that it gives you a good sample of what's going on. And then the easiest way to get in touch is through our phone to Marnie, who is our amazing assistant who helps. She is. She runs the space. She's incredible. Or to email us at info@the-fascia clinic, because I really love to have personalized discussions about what could be helpful for each person because everyone's so individualized.
That makes sense.
All right. So I'm going to ask you some different
questions.
The questions.
Okay.
Here they come.
We told her about these.
So how do you view failure?
Failure. Well, I view failure as a challenge. I think it's just in my nature. I see failure and it just makes me want to learn differently and create differently and just kind of jump into life to learn, to figure out how I can change and move forward. I don't really think of failure as a thing.
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
and by the way, since I know Heather, I'm just going to share this, that, Heather thinks that reading textbooks is pleasurable. So,
just
keep
let
that
you
in
know,
mind.
this is who
Just
you're
keep
dealing
that in
with.
mind.
That's probably one of my downfalls.
So, what are your 3 most important strengths? You have many, but just like, don't overthink it.
Don't
just
overthink.
Boom. What do you think?
My 3 most important strengths. I'm very compassionate. I feel like I lean on that a lot. Even maybe when I shouldn't. In, business, I feel like we're supposed to be really
Who said that?
Doesn't
Everybody.
matter. Yeah, I lead with my heart. I always do. I am pretty tenacious. If I see a challenge, I have to go after it.
Did we say this today?
Yes.
Heather's someone who gets things done.
Yes.
I am.
And number 3.
And number 3, I'm a connector. I like to find the connections.
Completely
I like to see the
connector.
connections.
That's so obvious from everything we've been talking about. You made connections in every step of your life to what you're doing, what your life's meaning.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. So what is going well in your life? Like the whole thing, but what's going well in your life?
Well, in my life, definitely the business. I feel like I am really proud of myself for sticking to it. And life is hard, right? There's so many curveballs thrown our way. And
running a business is hard work.
Yeah,
It's very hard.
It's tough. But thankfully, running the business has probably been the smoothest thing. It's coming really naturally and just kind of falling into place. So that feels really great.
Oh,
It's
good.
great.
I'm so happy for you. So what is a takeaway that you have for our listeners?
I think my biggest takeaway would probably be to recenter and focus on your body, right? And that being, kind of quieting out all the distractions. Don't focus on all the things that you have to do for your body, all the things that, your body needs. That all can come secondary. Go outside, right? Feel the wind on your skin. Listen to the songs of the birds, right? Find the simplicity in life and reconnect to that, because I feel like that's a lot of what's getting lost in our bodies and our minds is that we're disconnected, right? We're not able to come from a very centered space, and we need to be connected.
I love that you said that, because again, Cindy and I were talking on the way to the studio about trying to get people to check in.
Yeah.
And we were saying, like, is it good to have like a quarterly evaluation of what's going on in your life? And then we were like, no, we have to have people check in every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you doing today? Because we feel like if you wait too long, there's so much that maybe isn't going well that you're not going to address it.
Right.
So what you just said is like, check in every day. How's your body feeling? What can I do right now? Go outside. What can I do right now? Listen to the birds.
Yeah.
Something to kind of clear out the mental garbage before it gets to be overflowing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, definitely.
We're all on the same page.
We are on the same page. And just really quickly, it's just so funny that you said that, because yesterday I took my dog down to the beach. And so when I got there, no one was there, but I could hear this sound. And I was like, what is that sound? And then, as I got closer, I could see that there were it wasn't seagulls. I don't even know what it was. There were all these birds on the top of the ocean, kind of like singing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never heard anything like that. So this other guy came down with his dog, and I said, and I've met him before, and I was like, just stop for a second and listen. He's like, what is that? And it was just
magical moments.
It was a magical moment, because I've never heard anything like that before.
It's incredible.
So like that is something that and as you were talking, I was thinking, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And you were like, wow.
And if you weren't focused, you would have missed it.
He was going to miss it. He was going to miss it.
Yeah.
So, So thank you for that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So, is there anything else that we didn't get to that you would like to share with people as we are starting our wrap up? Time flies.
No, I think we covered so much. This was so wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
You've got a few more questions.
Yeah, we do.
Oh.
So these are, I know, these are typical. These are from the Elevation Principles.
From our
this
book.
is why we wrote the book, but we like to ask everybody these questions, and there's no right, no wrong. So is there something you want to change?
Something I want to change. There's always something I want to change.
That's great.
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is holding you back?
I think I just have a laundry list of them.
Well, what's holding you back?
Yeah, what's holding you back?
Just time, fitting it into that busy schedule, for sure.
Time.
That's number one.
And number one, Jen and I talk about this all the time. If it's not a priority, you're not getting it done.
Of course. Yeah.
And so that's, what becomes the priority.
Yeah.
So maybe
or
maybe
no,
you make
or a reevaluation of your time.
exactly.
That's
yeah.
what you do. Yep.
So, what is one thing you can do to move yourself forward on one of these
On
changes?
On one
On
of
just
them.
one.
Can't do all of them.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah. I think just staying true to my schedules, to the plans that I've laid out, and sticking to it.
All right, that
Mhm.
Sure.
works. Yeah.
It works.
So, when do you think your clinic space is going to be open? I know you've had some a little. You're open for therapy
Yes.
sessions, but when will you
Classes and teaching?
yeah,
and
when will that
stuff.
space be open? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, within the next week or two,
Oh,
we should
even better.
be in and ready to roll. Yeah.
Excellent.
That's
So by the
great.
time this airs,
Maybe check
you'll be in the new
check
space.
the
Yes.
website and see what classes might
For
be
sure.
running.
Check the
Yeah.
Instagram page. That's probably going to have the most
right.
up-to-date information.
All right. So thank you for listening and letting us be a part of your wellness journey. We hope that you enjoyed this episode with Heather as much as we did. We loved having her on. And we will be back again with another extraordinary person who's doing amazing things in the space of mental health and wellness. If you want to learn more about me or about Cindy, our websites are, mine is www.mindsetnj.com. Cindy's is www.mindfulnessconnection.com. We are on social media. I am at Mindset Jen. Cindy is at Mindfulness Connection. And we just created a TikTok account for as long as we have that at Mindset
didn't
Connection
create it.
Pod. It is created. Thank you, Colby. And we are, the podcast is on Apple and Spotify, and now we are all also on YouTube. So for those of you who have asked us about actually watching the videos, they are now there, and that channel is at Mindset Connection Podcast. So our book, The Elevation Principles, which Cindy mentioned, is available on Amazon. We did record an audiobook version that should be coming out sometime this year. And this podcast is recorded and produced and edited by an amazing team here at Black Swallowtail Studios in Eatontown. So if you like what you see or hear, definitely give them a look on their website or social media. So thank you, and we'll be back again.
Yeah. So final words. So I'm going to add something. You know, Jen and I talk about this all the time, and Heather really, cinched it today. Do hard things.
Please.
And then for your own peace of mind, remember to pause, breathe, respond. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.